Sports fans, PBT Sports Chaos. We're going to talk about NFL and we're going to talk a little college football. NFL, big news. Jets fire their GM now, right? So they've now fired the GM, the head coach. Is Aaron Rodgers next?
Might
He's
as well
part of the
be.
problem. And by the way,
Yeah.
we're going to make our toilet bowl picks, fans. Who are the final four worst teams in the league contending for the number one draft pick momentarily? But big news of the week, not only did the Jets fire their GM, but the other New York team cut their starting quarterback. Danny Dimes is no longer on the roster of the Giants. Does that now make the Giants officially the worst run team in the NFL? Did they pass the Cowboys?
Well, I don't want to give away our segment, but how can
Okay,
you
we'll
not
talk about
include
that.
them in the conversation, right?
Speaking of Cowboys, the biggest rumor of the week also is Dion is going to be the head coach next year, and he's going to draft Shadur. Do you see that happening?
No,
I
I
don't
don't
either.
see him making a jump.
Yeah, what are they going to do with Dak? Let him sit on the
Yeah.
bench for $60 million a year? Come on, man, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Well, that's what they're doing with Danny Dimes, so in New York.
Yeah, well, they cut him, right? So, all right,
Yeah.
let's get to that segment then. Who are the four worst teams in the league? And as you were saying before we got into this, hard to pick. Is this what 9 teams you said that have only 2 or 3 wins?
Yeah, yeah. There's 9 teams in the NFL right now with either 2 or 3 wins, which I can't remember going into week 12 having that many teams with only 2 or 3 wins. It seems like there's not as much parity in the league this year. It's like you're good or you suck. Like there's no in between. But you had mentioned this earlier. It seems like a couple of these teams that the few wins they do have are against real good teams. So, it's hard to judge. I'm not going to put the Patriots in this conversation, and the reason is because
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not. I just
I,
they're
I'm
showing me some stuff.
yeah, they're showing me some stuff, and Drake May looks good. I can't wait to see them live tomorrow in
That's right.
Miami. Um, but you know who? And it's hard for me to put Carolina in that conversation right now too, just because they're starting to show a little mojo, and they got Jonathan Brooks coming back this week, and I can't put them there either, and they've won 3 games too. So I'm going to go with my number one worst team is the New York Giants.
Pick, in my opinion,
Is that who you have as your bottom two?
bottom team.
Okay,
Officially now the
yeah.
most worst run organization in the league. Brian Dable is a clown. He really should be in a circus and be a clown. And so they probably did Danny Dimes a favor. By the way, look at the quarterbacks who had been picked high and been left out to the dust, and now they resume their career. Jameis Winston, another team that I can't really pick because they beat James and the Browns beat the Steelers and they beat the Ravens this year, right? And then you've
Yeah.
got Sam Donald's coming back. Vikings are looking awesome with Sam Donald's a quarterback. So Danny Dimes may turn up someplace. Rumor right now is he could go to the 49ers because they're not going to have Brock Purdy. We're going to pick that game in a few minutes. But who else you got in the bottom
Yeah.
four?
Yeah, and I'm with you. I can't go with them either in my bottom, believe it or not. I'm going to go with Jacksonville next. They've just been a disappointment all around. Now, obviously, Trevor's been out a couple of weeks. Mac Jones is not the answer, obviously. That team got shellacked last week, albeit against probably what is the best team in the NFL right now, in my opinion, in Detroit. But yeah, they're just horrible. They're just horrible to watch. They're just a bad team. So I'm putting them as my second worst.
We match. I get the Jags as well as my second worst team. Who do you got next?
Next, I'm going to go Raiders. They've shown some signs of being able to play. They beat Baltimore, albeit that was like in week 2. They seem to hang in there in games. Like teams aren't blowing them out necessarily. But there's not enough there for me with talent, quarterback. They're just not good. So I'm having them as my third worst.
I'm with you. I get the Raiders as well. Yeah. And it's hard to skin because we talked about this earlier. They have a big win against the Ravens this year, right? At
Yeah.
Baltimore, right? So how do but someone has to suck, and it's the Raiders is the third suckiest team. All right, who do you have last? Who's in the final? Who's the fourth and final four?
If we're the same on all this one, this is gonna be crazy because I'm not putting the Patriots in this conversation. Believe it or not, not putting the Jets in the conversation. You might have the Jets, but I'm not putting them in this conversation. I'm
Close,
not
but I
putting.
don't yet.
Yeah, I don't yet either. I'm not putting Carolina in this conversation, although they're right there, but not quite yet for me. I'm not even putting Tennessee in this conversation. All right, I'm going to say a team that has just been absolutely in shambles and has not won a game at home all year
Boy.
long. And I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys as the fourth worst team. Teams are blowing them out of the water. Like they're not even close football games. So even though they have some talent there still, I'm putting Dallas as the fourth worst.
You just can't do it. I was going to say Titans, but well, no, they didn't beat the Pats. They beat somebody decent though. I'm going to say the Panthers. I don't see the Panthers turning the ship around. I think they stay the course. I think it's the Panthers, the fourth worst. Close with the Titans, but I get the Panthers as the fourth worst.
Okay. All right. Well, so you might be changing your mind in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I might be. If it's the Cowboys, you know what? If it's the Cowboys, then hopefully Jerry Jones learns his lessons and stop being a GM. Just fire yourself, Jerry, right? So
Yeah.
they're going to get a real
just
GM.
just a little technical thing here. When you start talking, your first like second or two is not coming across on my audio, and then it starts to come in afterwards. So I don't know if it's going to translate to the actual recording,
Okay.
but just so you know.
New laptop. I don't know what's going on here.
All
All right,
right.
let's make some picks. You ready?
Yep, let's go.
Vikings, Bears.
Yeah, this is a tough one. It's hard to bet against teams at home in the division. We just saw it on Thursday Night Football. You got Pittsburgh going to Cleveland. Cleveland wins, right?
Yeah.
Last week you had Baltimore going to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh wins, right? It's just hard to bet against teams at home. So I'm going with the Bears in this one. I think the Vikings are the better team. The Bears have struggled a little bit, but I think the Bears have a big game. It's at home. Minnesota's got to go outside the dome. Going with the Bears.
Okay. I am going with the Vikings until a good team beats them. I'm going to root for the Vikings. I don't see the Bears as a good team. Don't forget the Pats beat the Bears.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
I think G Money also has the Bears in that one. Yeah, he
Okay.
does.
Broncos at Raiders.
Yeah, this is another one, right? I just talked about games in the division. It's hard to go against the home team, but in this one I am. Just because I just put the Raiders in one of my worst teams in the NFL. Broncos are showing some signs of life. I love Sean Payton there and the coaching. Bo Nix looks awesome. He's definitely rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year candidate. I'm going Broncos.
Well, is Bo Nix an offensive rookie of the year candidate? And you say yes. So okay. All right. All right. I got Broncos as well. What G Money got?
He's got the Broncos too.
All right. Here's a game that just changed for me last night. 49ers at Packers. With the news of Brock Purdy being out, Brandon Allen starts. What do you think?
Yeah, and I mean, even with Brock Purdy in there, I may have gone with the Packers anyways. I know San Francisco kind of owns Green Bay in Green Bay. That may have been a deciding factor. It was definitely a pick 'em type of game for me. I was still leaning Green Bay though, but now without that, I mean, it's Green Bay all the way. I think they're one of the better teams in the NFL, despite the fact that they're in third place in their own division.
This is the best division in football, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Right. I'm going Packers as well. What's G Money got?
Jim Honey probably has the Packers too, but let me just verify that statement here. Yes, he does.
All right, we're all on the Packer bandwagon. All right, this is a tough game too. Cards go to the Seahawks. This is real. I mean, with the 49ers not playing well, this potentially could be a division championship game.
Yeah, I mean this could be the division that the winner ends up being 9-8. We thought that was going to be the South, but everyone's beating up on each other in this division right now. San Francisco's in last place at 5-5. So, and they're a game out of first place. So, yeah, this is going to be a good one. I'm going to go with the 12th man and Seattle and the crowd there. I'm going to take the Seahawks.
I'm gonna go with Kyler. I'm going with Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. I think they're finding some rhythm on offense. I know the Seahawks play somewhat of a decent defense, but I'm going Cardinals.
Yeah, I think Cardinals might be the more talented team. It's just a tough place to play.
Yeah.
G Money has the Cardinals too.
Okay. Eagles against Rams. The other team out there. So we're picking all the NFC West this week. Eagles at Rams. What do you think?
Yeah. Rams have shown some signs here and there. But the Eagles, man, they're playing some really good football right now. I'm looking at potentially, Eagles, Packers, and Lions to me are the cream of the crop in the NFC. I think Philly goes in there and wins, taking the Eagles.
The Rams should have been beaten by the Pats last week. If Pats made a couple of smarter moves on the coaching sideline, I think they win that game. So Eagles for sure. All right, Monday night
G
game.
Money has.
G Money has
Yeah, G
Eagles.
Money has the Eagles. Well, yep.
All right. Baltimore at the Chargers, another LA team. Both LA teams are home this weekend. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And Baltimore, surprisingly, right now is sitting at 7-4. They're a 6 seed in the playoffs. They're barely in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Broncos. If the Broncos win this week and Baltimore loses this week, all of a sudden Baltimore's looking at a 7 seed and maybe getting bounced out of the 7 seed, not making the playoffs. So this is a huge game for Baltimore, and they just bounced back. They got to bounce back from the loss last week in Pittsburgh, where their defense didn't let up a touchdown and they still lost. So where was their offense? Is Pittsburgh's defense that good that they couldn't generate enough offense to score 18 points against Pittsburgh? I don't know. And guess what? The Chargers, I think, are the best defense in the NFL, points wise, against. So they're not getting anything better here. Their offense needs to come out and play. And I'll tell you, Justin Herbert's going to have a field day. Baltimore's defense, pass defense, blows. I mean, it's one of the worst, probably in the AFC, right up there. And it's home for the Chargers. I'm basically talking myself out of my Baltimore pick right now because I have the Ravens in this. G Money has the Chargers. I'm talking myself out of taking the Ravens now, but I'm going to just stick with the Ravens. I think this is a must win for them. They go 7-5 with that team. They're in trouble.
You on this. I actually had Chargers when we started the show, and I went back and I took Baltimore on this one. And I think it's one reason only. Lamar is awesome in prime time. Monday Night Football. I think he's like 6-2 with 20 touchdowns and no interceptions. I think somehow or other Lamar finds a way, but you're right. And by the way, younger brother John has beat Jim in all of their previous meetings. So I think that keeps going tonight, like Monday night.
Okay. So me and you both have the Ravens in that one. G Money has the Chargers.
Okay. But wait, Pats are at Dolphins. Any shot for the Pats Sunday when you go?
Yeah, I think there's a shot. I mean, Miami hasn't found their true way yet with all their offensive weapons, but they've been playing good, but not good enough, right? When you look at Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Achane as well, Tua, I mean, they have the weapons to beat the Patriots for sure. I think the Patriots hang with them. I think 7.5 is a big number. I'm not taking the Patriots because I just avoid them at all costs this year because they're just so unpredictable in how they're going to play. Yep. But I say there's a shot. I think they cover, and I think there's a good shot they can win the game.
I'm with you on both those. Cover and could win the game. All right, let's flip over to college football. We got a few good games going on this week. All right. Before we make some picks, I got to tell you about this wild story that came out of the SEC this week. There's talk out there that coaches in the SEC who have 2 losses do not want to make the SEC championship game because if they lose that, they probably lose their bid into the playoffs. So Lane Kiffin says it's real that coaches are talking about not wanting to be in the SEC championship just because of that fact. Can you believe that?
That's interesting. Yeah. But they're right. I mean, a 3-loss. It'll be interesting to see if a 3-loss team gets into the playoffs. It could happen.
I mean, it sucked that you go to the bonus game, the conference championship, because you were good enough to go. You're the second best team or first best team in the conference. You lose it, and you can't even get to the playoff game. I mean, the playoffs. That's crazy.
Right, and that could end up being a team like Georgia or Alabama or, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, let's make some picks. Let's start with the big one in the Big Ten. Indiana goes to Ohio State. Indiana is number 5 in the country. Who's still undefeated? Go number 2, Ohio State. 10.5-point favorites, Ohio State. What do you think?
It's a lot of points. I mean, I think that they lose their undefeated streak. I think Ohio State wins this game. The question is, can they cover the 10.5? I always get concerned about these numbers. I feel like they're traps, just trying to get people to come in on Indiana, and Ohio State ends up blowing them out. I'm going Ohio State in this one. I think Ohio State puts up enough points to, like a 35, 38 to 21-24 type of game. So I'll give it to Ohio State with lay the points.
Good to take Indiana. I mean, first of all, their defensive secondary is probably the best in the country. So that's a big deal. They've been blowing people out. They have 40-point wins this year 5 times, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So Indiana, yes, they probably lose the game. I don't think they lose by 11 points. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Yeah, G Money has Ohio State with me as well.
Okay. All right. Next one. BYU, number 14 in the country, plays Arizona State at Arizona State. Arizona State had a big win a week ago. They're a 3-point favorite against the number 14 team in the country. BYU is in the playoffs today only because they're the leader in the Big 12.
Yep.
They lose this one, though. They're completely out of this thing, probably. What do you think?
Right. And the fact that they lost last week, too. So I think that's a bounce back game for them. I think they realize, hey, we got slapped in the face last week. This is going to be reality check for us. We go into Arizona State, we win, we stay in that playoff contention. I'm going BYU.
Two BYU covers. What's she money got?
G-Money has Arizona State.
Okay, he could be right. They're 5-0 at home, and this is at home. All right, Texas A&M, number 15 in the country, outside looking in for the college football playoffs. They play Auburn unranked. A&M's only a 2.5-point favorite. Auburn is a tough place to play, but I don't know if I've seen enough from them to think that A&M can't win this game by 3 points. I'm going to go A&M.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah, I'm going A&M as well. And G-Money has Auburn.
Oh, okay. All right. Here's a big one. Number 16, Colorado. Prime time is in prime position to go to the playoff game again in the Big 12 and potentially make the college football playoffs. He goes to Kansas. Kansas just beat BYU. They're a tough team to play this year. I know they're not ranked, but Colorado 2-point favorite. What do you think?
Yeah, this is a tough one to pick. I mean, I this is a crapshoot to me. I'm gonna go with Colorado just because they're fun to watch. It's prime time. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas wins this game. But I'm going to lay the 3, take Colorado.
One, that means I'm taking Kansas to cover. So I got Kansas to cover.
All right. And G-Money has Kansas as well.
Army, Notre Dame. Army's at 14.5. We're not going to pick this game, but does Army have any shot?
To win or to cover?
Either one. I mean,
I don't think they have a shot to win.
Okay.
They might be able to hang around enough to cover, but I think Notre Dame. I mean, we just saw what happened when Notre Dame played. Were they playing? Did they play Navy earlier? Was it Notre Dame and Navy?
Crushed Navy, yes.
Yeah, and they absolutely annihilated them. And I know you and G-Money, I think, both fell into the trap and took the points. I laid the points with Notre Dame. If I had to pick it, I'd take Notre Dame.
I can't get the Northern Illinois game out of my head when I think about Notre Dame, right? That's a horrible, horrible loss. That's going to taint their resume for the playoffs. I think Army hangs in this game. I don't think they win, but they definitely hang in and cover. So, all right, man. Have fun at the game tomorrow.
All right, we'll do.
All right.
Thanks, brother.
Take care.